Hey everyone, have you ever had so much to do that there seemed no end to it, giving you stress even before you start working on it? But instead of starting your work to get it done, you end up watching that Netflix series, funny video, or maybe a movie? This is the event of postponing what you should be doing, also called procrastination. Almost everyone does this, whether it's multiple small tasks we must do or a few bigger ones. Yet we always have an excuse ready as to why we're not doing it, or how we will tell ourselves that we'll do it tomorrow. Unfortunately for us, we are creatures driven by habits we've created in our lives. We should be getting our work done, followed by getting a reward from doing it. Instead, we tend to reward ourselves before doing the actual work. Getting the reward for doing something gives us the feeling we're doing something right. We'll start to want to do it again, thus creating a habit. Once you get to this point, it becomes a lot harder to get this out of your system. But harder doesn't equal impossible. So how to go about it? Like I mentioned earlier, we love habits. Habits trigger an automatic part of our brain to a point where you won't even need to think about doing it anymore. And this is also the best solution to get out of bad habits. We need to take our old habits, like playing video games, watching TV or waking up late, and start changing them into new ones that can improve our lives. Start off by making a planning. Figure out what you want to do on one day, for example, reading for at least an hour, making at least a certain amount of pages of that essay you have to work on, or simply forcing yourself to go to the gym for at least half an hour. Don't look at the stairs in front of you, instead only look at the first step and just make it. The solution about not wanting to do something is simply starting to do it. Because once we get into the flow of something, we usually realize it's not as difficult as we thought it was gonna be, and we end up doing more than we initially planned. In the beginning you'll have to push yourself, but over time you'll quickly notice it becomes easier and easier to get yourself into it, and thus creating a new habit. The second important thing is getting rid of distractions. We are flooded by distractions nowadays. Close the tabs you're not using right now, turn off your phone or just put it out of your sight. Simply seeing that light blink knowing you got a message, a tag on Instagram or any other notification piques our interest of wanting to know what it is. Curiosity can be the worst thing. Once you look, you find out it's nothing important and your workflow has been disrupted, making it harder to get back into it. But not being able to see this will completely subside this feeling and put your focus on your work. When something is out of sight, it's usually out of your heart. Now I want to address the, in my opinion, most important point, and that is that there is no such thing as procrastination. But you were just talking about how, yeah, I know, but it exists to an extent, but it's more of just a word that we invented to make it sound fancier than just saying, I'm not doing what I should be doing. Let me explain why it isn't real. Let's say you believe you're a hardcore procrastinator. If I told you to come to the park and meet me at 5 AM in the morning, I would give you $1 million. What would you do? I'm sure you would be there even before 5 AM, instead of procrastinate, right? My point, it means that you can do anything you want to, but it's a choice you make. It's not important enough to you. So when you've got stuff to do, remind yourself of how important it is. Are you willing to fail your study that you've paid loads of money for just so you can watch that next episode of that series you like? Or are you willing to lose your job just so you can play FIFA or Call of Duty for just a little longer? When you say it like that to yourself, it will seem absolutely ridiculous that you're even considering this. Get your priorities straight in your head or say it out loud to yourself. It might really help. With all that said, you shouldn't be too hard on yourselves. Sometimes you think you're procrastinating even though you're doing something useful. Let's say you've got a bit of homework to do in the afternoon for the tomorrow class, but at the same time you're on a schedule for something else like going to the gym. Well, if it's important to you, then you aren't procrastinating because you're doing something that gives a higher value for your life. The teacher might not understand, but as long as it's something that won't make your grades drop drastically or fail the class, then you should follow your gut as to what your priority is. Another great tip would be to set a certain force on it. For example, tell yourself, I'm going to count to 3, get up and do it. When you force this on yourself, you'll feel a sense of guilt when you don't follow through. This increases your will, resulting in actually doing it. This is actually a tip I got from a very similar type of channel from mine, which is called Practical Psychology. If you don't know him, you should definitely check his videos on procrastination for his own personal view on this subject. He has some other great tips and tricks I try to avoid in my videos, so make sure to check it out. So let's recap the most important things. First of all, stop making excuses for yourself. This only makes it worse and gives you a false hope for the next time. Second of all, stop rewarding yourself for procrastinating. Instead, try rewarding yourself after doing the right things. Make a planning and stick to it. The first step is the most important one. After all, a wall isn't built in a day, guys. Change habits to better your life. Turn something bad into something positive. And it will become a lot easier to do it for the rest of your life. Get rid of distractions. They destroy your workflow and slow down the entire progress of whatever it might be you're working on. Get the most important priorities in your mind. When you realize what you could be losing by not doing something, you truly see what's important. And last of all, count to 3 and just do it. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you have a better understanding of what procrastination is and decide to change for the better. If you enjoyed, please like, subscribe and put on notifications so I can see you next time.